And like I said, we decided not to show you all the zeros, but let's take you to catching up with AB InBev, the global mega brewer that got even bigger after it bought SAB Miller. Since the more than $100 billion takeover was completed last year, the combined company has been selling more than 1 in every 4 beers drunk in the world. But it's an easy thing to say, let's merge, another thing to actually do it. And this, of course, brought together the world's 2 largest brewers. It took more than a year and required permissions across scores of countries, including South Africa. AB InBev warned it needed to cut 3% of the workforce of the combined firm, representing about 5,500 jobs last year. And after all that work, the company reported some disappointing results for 2016. Execs had to forfeit their bonuses. Well, South African Breweries, which many local beer drinkers and investors are nostalgic about, has now been swept up in this truly global company. Since the merger, SAB has fallen off the JSE board. It's been replaced with AB InBev. But AB InBev has maintained that South Africa and Africa are crucial to its plans, and it is fully invested in our economic future. Well, yesterday we couldn't bring this to you live, so we recorded it. We spoke to Zone President for Africa and SAB, Ricardo Tadeu. Started off by asking him how the merger, how that experience has been for him.
It has been a great experience. I think that both from the personal level and the professional level. Personally speaking, I mean, I've been in the industry, the beer industry, for more than 20 years, but I have always lived and worked within the Americas. So I was born in Brazil. I lived in Mexico, Venezuela. I've worked in Dominican Republic and some other countries. And it's my first experience in a different, really different continent like Africa. So we're enjoying a lot the opportunity to really get to know different cultures, different countries. And from the professional level, of course, I mean, I think it's an honor for me to be here. I mean, being in charge of such an important merger combination and really being part of which I think is a historical moment.
We know that a lot of the top managers like you are from AB InBev. Is there scope for South Africans in management positions? And what about the talk of the 2 cultures possibly clashing? We heard that AB InBev was more aggressive in the management style. We saw bonuses being cut over December. Has there been a uncomfortable gelling, perhaps, of the cultures?
I think there's lots of myths behind. I mean, first, I mean, we have 15,000 people working with us in Africa. We have basically 5 former AB InBev people. So I mean, the really bulk of population.
So it's local talent.
Yes, maybe. Totally local talent. I think the cultures were actually very similar in terms of really trying to do the best with businesses, people very passionate about what they did, which was actually providing great beers to our consumers and providing great service to our clients. And I'm feeling totally welcome. I think that the team has been doing a great job. Actually, if you think of the beginning of the integration is always the most difficult part. So we've been here for like 5 months. So I'd say that the first 3-4 months is where you have some adaptations in working models and different systems and things like that. And we were able to do all that, but at the same time keep going on with all the projects we have. There's one thing I'd like to share, which is a new product that we're actually going to launch on April 20th, which is Beers for Africa, which is an 8-pack which is made of 8 different African beers, meaning that for the first time we have a pack with very iconic African beers. We plan to export this pack worldwide. We have a partnership. What does
African beer mean? They're made locally?
They're made locally in different countries. We have Castle, which is a very South African brand, but we have also Kilimanjaro from Tanzania, 2M from Mozambique. We have Maluti from Lesotho. I mean, different brands. The idea is really to export and reach international markets. And the good thing is that also for each 8-pack that we sell, we'll provide 3 meals to African students. So that really need them. So we are partnering with Stop Hunger Now, this NGO, and I think that can be a really great thing.
Well, this brings me to something, because there were conditions on this merger put in place, even if it was a voluntary agreement with the Competition Commission, that is expected from investors coming in. And you did say you'd show commitment to the local economy. Are we seeing that? Is this part of that effort? And what is it like coming in with a lot of conditions? We are different to the rest of the world.
But I mean, everything that is committed before, I mean, it's not a surprise. So I mean, we're extremely happy for being here. I think that these commitments actually, I think they bring value for ourselves. I mean, one of the commitments we have is investment of 1 billion rands in developing local agriculture. This is something that I think it can help us in our supply chain. The more we can really be self-sufficient in maize, barley, and other local ingredients, that can also bring us a benefit in terms of cost for raw material. And we want to develop real local farmers and help South Africa become an exporter. So you see, I think that the commitments that were made, they were very well designed. When you think of, for example, this pack, Beers for Africa, imagine that we are making brands that were basically consumed in their local countries, and we are making possible that they can reach different markets. So we can expand our production. Most of these brands, they are made by local raw material, so we can also develop
so real benefits
local ingredients. So I mean, there's so many synergies in terms of really generating benefits, which are both for the company, with, of course, can generate more revenue and reduce costs, but at the same time contributing to society.
So one of those agreements was no retrenchments, but you did offer voluntary severance packages. How many people took that up, and are the reports true that so many people took it up that you had to start rehiring again?
Yeah, actually, what we did and our commitment is no forced retrenchments based on the merger. So, but we had some adjustments, especially only in the headquarters of the operation, not anything touched our depots or our breweries. So we didn't touch on anything. So our business in the field,
mostly
as we
managers.
say, yes. But we had to do some adjustments. There were some redundancies in terms of in some positions. So we had only this opportunity of offering a VSO. We had really some more people than we expected at the beginning, but now we are hiring. Nothing that was actually disruptive to our business. So
how many people took up the severance
we
packages?
offered to 1,050, a little bit more than that number. We had a little bit above 350 people, and we were expecting something around 250 people taking. So
okay,
now,
so slightly more.
yeah, and now you're rehiring.
Final question for you, Ricardo. You've arrived you arrived just before a very interesting time for South Africa. Does the politics, the tumultuous time that we're in, worry you? And what about the rand, the volatility there? How does it affect you?
And to be quite honest, I mean, this business and this decision for being here was so important for our company, for our business. I mean, our vision is much more for 20, 30 years. We operate in many countries around the world with different situations, and volatility is part of the business. Of course, when you think the basic factors, which is demographics, having young people, having more people getting into the legal drinking age, we have in South Africa and Africa much more people coming to the market than in other countries which don't have the same demographics that we have here. We also think that in long term, African countries will grow much more than world's average in terms of GDP. So we have everything in place. You're here for the really long term.
So the benefits basically outweighing the negatives.
Yes, definitely. And much more than that, I think that the intellectual synergies, I mean, the fact that two big companies that have developed themselves in two different parts of the world, and now we're being able to exchange practices. I mean, this is basically priceless for us. And the quality of the people that we have that can be through all this integration, which is tough for everyone, but at the same time being capable of delivering such projects like Beer for Africa.
It's a lot of beer drinking going on in the world, and I just thought I'd let you know that we rank number 40 in the world in terms of the per capita drinking. So we're not.
I thought we'd be higher, actually.
40 in the whole world. That is really doing a lot.
It was actually significant. So volume slightly dipping at the end of last year, and South Africa apparently the biggest dip in 15 years. So I don't think it's because people don't love beer. It's just because they really can't afford it, seemingly. So
I think countries like, is it Czechoslovakia, Croatia, they are in the top 3. They know how to drink.
all right. So